to the Pan-African Daily TV on this beautiful Friday evening. I mean, I must say, Karibuni out there to all the Kenyans and East Africans welcoming us on the show tonight there in East Africa, Nairobi. Yeah, and we from this part of the diaspora are also saying Karibuni to you, Salamo, Habari, yeah, and Jambo Jambo. So how you all doing out there in Kenya? Yeah, as from statistics, we know that all is not fine. As we already announced on the show yesterday, Kenyans are agitating, particularly the young people are saying, stop loaning Kenya. That is going to be our conversation for tonight with our guest in studio, Simeon Miranga, who is here to educate us and to explain the situation down there in Kenya and what is the next step. It's just not going to be a conversation like any other conversations where we come here, we talk about the situation without solution. So what you expect to see or to hear on this show is going to be a series of solutions that the young people are putting out there to actually, be concrete in their actions. So it's just more than rioting. It's just more than advocating or raising their voices. It's more concrete steps that are being put on the way to make sure that this doesn't repeat itself again, and also to make sure that it is a sign and a warning for the international community to understand that the people that are in charge as the collateral, the youth and the young people on the continent, and particularly this case in Kenya, are not responsible for whatever actions that this present governments are taking now on their behalf. So I think this conversation is what we've been hearing a lot of Kenyans actually raising their voices. But apart from that, we also, had a tweet early this morning from Professor Pielo Lumumba, who actually took that step. As usual, that's the biggest voice, African voice in the continent, but not only on the continent, but this case, particularly because he's a Kenyan born, would come out in the public and like, yes, young people, I am behind you and I support this action. And one thing he said in that tweet that made me actually really proud, and we from the Pan-African Daily TV collaborating to push out these voices and to share the opinion of the young people and give them a spotlight also to make a decision in the building and the construction of the Africa we want. When he said that, tell them what they need to know, not what they need to hear, not what they want to hear, sorry. Tell them what they need to know, not what they want to hear. Yes, because it's like young people have been so quiet, and the leadership of this continent and Africans worldwide are taking them for granted. That is the impression that we're having here. And that's the reason why that we are giving these voices, to young people to express their views and give their perspective and why even. Not just this kind of agitation, but what are the steps that they are taking, concrete steps and measure. Apart from us just tweeting, apart from us just, actually sharing. But we've seen Kenyans, and this case study is so appalling. The Kenyans are not only tweeting, they are not only agitating on social media, but they have caught the international recognition. Yeah. And if you see the leadership of that government, of that country, would want to crack down this action, it means they themselves understand the implication of this kind of action, right? So it is time that we are in the area or in the decade of getting double perspective. Gone are those days, right? When a communique would come out, it has to be the mainstream. It has to be what has been cooked in the background, to fashion out and produce and share with us, right? Take it or leave it. No, gone are those days. The young people of Africa, whose continent, the future of the continent are in their hands, to say, no, we have to be engaged in policy debate. We are actually concerned with where and what steps our governments, whom we vote and put to represent us, are taking on our behalf. It is our human basic right to get engaged in this process. Of course, when we say that we're young people, when we talk about the dynamic, smart, young people for Africa, this is exactly the steps we want. We don't want a passive African. We don't want a dominant African. We don't want a sleeping youth. I mean, other countries keep saying the leadership on the continent are so sleepy that they even push their young people to die in the Mediterranean, coming out to look for greener pastures. Yeah. But the decade 2021 in the Africa we want, and the young people are saying, no, we are not taking that engagement anymore. We're not falling into those traps. We're going to stay here and build the Africa that we want. So, isn't this good news? From our perspective, this is something that the leadership and the governments and every responsible African should be like, yeah, these are the kind of young people that we need, that we can entrust, yeah, the legacy of the continent into their hands when they already are aware what it is. It doesn't matter whether the actions are brutal or wrong or doesn't conform, to the constitution or the laws, but at least something is going on. And the most democratic form of oppression and marginalization is just, staging a protest, a peaceful protest of that matter. Even though these days we've seen peaceful protests and petitions and other actions, yeah, actually still slow, but at least something is done. What does the professor in Kenya says? When I say professor, you just know they're not two. Professor PLO Lumumba says, yes, our leadership they may just be, toothless bulldogs. I want to make that so clear and so articulated for us to understand. Yes, the leadership can be toothless bulldogs, but they are dogs. Very pertinent. They're still dogs, right? So it means we can still repair the teeth. And the young people have this as an opportunity, a chance for them actually to say, you know what? No, it's not about that. This is the decade for the revolution and the liberation and pushing the Africa that we want. For this reason, I am so happy to get this young, energetic brain sitting here, right me, down here in the Pan-African Daily TV studio, and so motivated and so brave and so courageous, yeah, to share his opinion, his organization, and the steps that he expects the youth of Africa worldwide to take, not just Kenya in this case. So what is he going to be talking about? So as a short overview, what do you want to hear on this intensive hour that we're going to be streaming live here? We're going to play some videos with you. We're also going to get into the proper conversation, right? So you know his opinion and what is actually going on the ground. But then we'll also still, share the platform with artists that have actually been advocating and calling on. And last thing, like in the other shows, we're going to open calls. Kenyans are boiling. Yeah, not only Kenyans, but youths worldwide are saying, yes, this is the action time. This is what we need to do. And we also want to share their views and their opinions. So we'll be opening up the calls. So back to studio at the Pan-African Daily TV. Welcome, Simeon Maranga, my brother. How are you doing?
Thank you so much, Tata Efua, Doctor,
Yes.
for that, for hosting me today. And it's a great privilege to speak on behalf of the youth of this continent.
Great. We know, even when the professor tweeted today about the arrest of some prominent, they call them the crackdown on the Crusaders, weren't you afraid to come live to air your views on the situation?
Daktari, let me tell you, my name is Omwoyo Maranga, the president of Vijana Economic Front. This is a movement of young youth filled with vigor and energy to transform our country, and not only our republic, but even the entire continent of Africa. Now, when you see what is happening about the crackdown, this is just a show that the bureaucracy has felt the heat of what has gone on in our country, especially the last 2 weeks. what happened, especially when the news broke that we are going to borrow again. Imagine, to borrow again after we are so burdened with over 8 trillion of debt, that we were going again to IMF to get another 34 billion loan. This was, we felt as young people that the veins and capillaries that are feeding into our future were punctured and perforated. And therefore, we would not have sat, and kept quiet when our own future, for both for us and our progeny, our generations to come, were being put at jeopardy by the establishment that is there. Now, you see, even if we kept quiet, there is going to rise another person. If Maranga kept quiet, there would be another person that would rise and say that this is wrong. Have you forgotten, Tata, that during colonization, some of our black men collaborated with the white man? Have you forgotten? Have you forgotten that we had chiefs that were leading the people? Damn, it's not forgotten to us. It's not in our very far history. It is not in our far history. It is just as recent as now that, even those that experience colonization are still alive amongst us. And so we still had a breed of men. We had Dedan Kimathi here in Kenya, Samora Machel down there in Mozambique. We had Papa Nelson Mandela and many other men that stood up against even those that sided with the oppressor. In Kenya, Mtemi Kiama, aka Wanjiku Revolt, was arrested. Now, he was arrested for, of course, some frivolous, excuses that he had said something concerning IMF. And you see, it was not him. Mtemi Kiama became just a conduit of the speech and of the feelings of the Kenyan young man, all the way from the western part to the eastern, all the way from the dry northern part of Kenya to the southern end that is wet. He spoke the heart of youths of this country. And you see, this issue of loaning the continent, we have had dead aid in our continent for the last 50 years. After the white man left, he began something we would call some pseudo-colonialism, that it's no longer in chains and fetters of iron and aluminium, but it is in the chain of the pocket and of the wallet of the black man. And so when you are viewing us, for example, from the diaspora, there are so many things. When you look at Africa, you would wonder, why are we not prospering?
Yes.
When you look at the phone, almost 70% of the components of the phone come from Africa, or Mother Africa. When you look at your fridge, when you look at the copper wire that gives you electricity, it is made down there in Mwanza, Tanzania. It comes from the copper mines of Zambia. It is down there in the Benguela province of Angola. And these things that are powering these economies, world economies, that now want to come and aid us, extract everything from our own continent. And therefore, when you have seen this agitation, this consciousness that is coming among the youth of our continent, it has come at a time when we can no longer wait for the white man to go. Just like our forefathers would not wait for the white man to say, oh, I'm done with colonizing. They had to resist with blood. They resisted with their lives, with their mothers and their children. We may, because this war is not as that of fetters and chains and bombs and rifles. They are colonizing us in other forms. We may not shed blood, but we must form new ways of resistance. We must develop new avenues of resisting. That's why you saw in Kenya, we began a petition against IMF, a petition that is a document. You know, that some people have been trivializing it and saying, oh, you see, IMF will not even look at the petition. IMF will not see your signatures, will not see those who signed. And we are saying we don't care whether they will see or not. But it is a testament that this generation, over 200,000 young people in our country, have rejected your law. That we have said that we do not need what you want to help us with, despite the bureaucracy and the establishment desiring, to get these loans. We the people, because we feel the heat. I'm a young man, Daktari Tata. I'm a young man. I have eaten bread when it was 10 shillings. But right now, it is 6 times that. It is 60 shillings now. Because tax has to be raised to pay a loan that is perpetual. A loan that never ends. So you're paying loans every time, every new season, off season. And you see, this is the message I have to, my fellow young people, wherever you are in this continent. If you're in Dola province of Zambia, or you're in Barara in Uganda, or you're in, Abuja streets of Nigeria, listen to this. We can no longer, as a generation, sit back when you are taxed to the food that you eat, when you are taxed to the technology that should be able to make our life convenient right now, when your transport in your locality is high every day and not even convenient. When you ask, these leaders, for example, if you're like now in Kenya, we have a loan of up to 8 trillion shillings. Now, if you ask, what is the revenue benefit of this loan? Some of these things they borrow to build mega structures, which they say will open our continent, open our continent into new things. But when you look at it critically, why would you build a road that looks like that of the ancient Caesarean road to Italy, that no one uses almost 70-90% of the time? Why would you build something using trillions of shillings when it is not being used? Yet where we need the money at the infrastructure, for example, city roads, feeder roads to places where people can work, you're not doing that. This tells you that we have a cabal of leaders, and I don't know if it's a global conspiracy of these leaders to do these things. We have a cabal of leaders whose only interest is to feed on the people. Now they've realized that the people do not have money, so they even go ahead and get loans and eat that money. Corruption is the ingredient of what these loans are doing to our continent. You bring 37 billion, we use 5 billion. And then the other billions are bought into choppers and planes that chauffeur people here left and right and center to Mauritius and Seychelles, having fun when people in provinces are starving, when mothers in our continent are carrying water on their heads to this day, when they cannot get gas near them, they have to use firewood from very far. We must resist this. And this is what I'm telling you. If you're listening from Malawi, if you're a young person in my country, Kenya, what are you doing? Are you waiting? Because I'm sure, Dr. Tata, what is going to happen is, in my generation, we are going to have a president. And I hope be tired. Okay, God willing, it may be me. It may be somebody different. Now, if you're a president of this generation, the Kenyan president, perhaps you're listening to me, or perhaps it is me that I'm speaking. Am I willing to inherit such kind of debt that my people are in perpetual borrowing spree, always on our knees, There's no day we are going to sell a purified, bar of copper at a better price. Is our gold and diamond in Tanzania inferior, that it has to be taken in sacks of sand, of raw earth? Are we unable to purify our oil, which we extract all the way from the western side of Benguela province of Angola down to our East Africa here in Kenya and Turkana, the Egyptian belt, the Nile belt? We have a lot of minerals. Why are we feeding the world, yet ourselves we are starving? Why would we not have? You see, if we had a leadership in our continent, in our various places where of our extractions, and this is something I want to tell the diaspora, they have a very big role to play. Do not ignore your continent. Do not ignore what is happening here. This is where your extraction is. Africa is the cradle, actually, of the entire human, family. We need to voice our voices to those that matter. We must tell them that this is wrong. You cannot do something that we do not approve. Of course, as a continent, most countries, we have adopted, delegated power. We are democracies where we go into seasons of elections and choose people to represent us. But we must realize that these people are not Puritans. They are not angels that are sent to help us. Sometimes when they go wrong, we must call them out. When they are not doing what should be done, we must do it. And this is not that you're doing it just for fun, just because you want to be, popular or famous. It's not about that. It's about saving you, yourself, and your progeny. Which school will your child go? If your ghetto is still not tarmacked, you're going soon to give birth. Oh, Dr. Tata, perhaps I'll have my kid in 1 year or 2 years from now. Are they going to the same places that I've seen not transformed the last 5, 7 years or 9 years? And that is why we are so angry when you are taking a loan, burdening us. Now, in no time, our fuel levy is going to rise. Our road levies are going to rise, and that affects the prices of products, the prices of fares, and putting perpetual stress on the Kenyan young man, on the African young man, that the small shilling that you want to save is taxed and taken to Shanghai because you have their law. That the small shilling you want to have on bread is taken away and it's taken to Brussels. Why is it that we cannot save that shilling and then import our things here so that we can even manufacture our own things and export some to them? That is the big issue, Dr. Tata. That is the big issue. That is the big issue.
Yeah. Thank you so very much. I mean, of course, that is one of the big issues. And you have actually just put the challenges and even the solution in a one packet form. We are extremely proud. We're extremely proud to see young people rise up and because the world, I mean, we've been seeing some tweets, even crazy Chinese people saying Africans are the dumbest people or African youth. And the proof is now that Africans have never been dominant. And Africans have been the most responsible and respectful in terms of hierarchy and leadership. But that's far back. That's way back. Now, even us rising, or your generation rising to say, this is not what we want, because of course you know it, like you actually say it. It's not just like somebody just saying we're against this loan, but actually you know how much you bought bread in those days, how much it is now. And when you look 20, 30 years, we won't even buy bread. I think we'll be buying stones. We'll be eating stones, right? And so, as a matter of fact, you know what you want. The youths know what they want. Now, I want us to take a short look at this video of Kenyans that did not only advocate or went to the street or tweeted or used the social media as a platform that should empower them and reach out, with their complaints, but of course, they actually tracked down the IMF platforms, their social media platforms, and flooded them with a lot of information like the hashtag Stop Loaning Kenya. Let us watch this video, and we could see that it is not a joke, that the young people are not sleeping anymore. They're going to use every tool to get their message across. Let's take a look.
Good morning. Welcome to the International Monetary Fund's press conference on the 2021 April World Economic Outlook. Delighted that you could join us.
In many countries, the willingness of global institutions like the International Monetary Fund to beef up the state coffers with a loan is seen as a sign of approval. It shows that the economies in faraway Washington have confidence that the country can afford and properly manage the interest payments. But this is not how some Kenyans see things. They do not want the IMF to give the country any more money. So, Kenyans online have continued with protests against the International Monetary Fund loans days after the institution approved a $2.3 billion loan request. Frustrated netizens started lamenting on Friday, April 2nd, when the international lender approved the humongous loan, which wasn't Kenya's debt situation. However, the online protests hit a crescendo by Monday, April 5th, as many Kenyans were still camping at IMF's social media pages for a third day, questioning why it was still giving loans to a country that is already sinking rapidly in debt. A section of users urged the Washington-based lender to first audit the money it had loaned Kenya in the past before approving any loan request. Soon enough, the complaints on Monday culminated in a hashtag dubbed Stop Loaning Kenya, where IMF and other lenders such as World Bank were tagged in every post. A group of other Kenyans opined the international lenders had ulterior motive in giving Kenya more money when its debt crisis was so shocking. Reports indicate that the IMF announced Kenya would receive the amount to support the COVID-19 response and address an urgent need to reduce urgent debt vulnerability. In a statement, the lender said its executive board had approved the 38-month financing plan under the Extended Credit Facility (ECF) and the Extended Fund Facility (EFF). According to IMF, with a forcefully policy response, Kenya's economy has been picking up heading into 2021 after likely posting a slightly contraction of 0.1 in 2020. The IMF announcement came on the heels of a survey that showed that 4 out of 5 Kenyans felt anxious, fearful, or angry because of the debt burden. Hence the Twitter storm, and by the end of Monday, hashtag Stop Giving Kenya Loans or Stop Loaning Kenya was one of the trending hashtags here. People were also being encouraged to sign the petition. This was a reference to an online campaign aimed at urging the IMF to withdraw the offer.
Okay, I think it's very visible, and I just want to say we can give a standing ovation to Kenyans.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, because this is amazing. It's not only just going to protest, but actually even tracking down where they're holding these conversations in their platforms. Now, how did you feel when you watch this? I mean, you could see them saying IMF is stubborn, stop loaning to corrupt regimes and stuff like that. The messages were very clear, isn't it?
Yeah. I liked one message from one Kenyan young man who said, called Brian Sang Ruto. He said, IMF, you are stubborn. I mean, can't you hear us? We don't want the loan. I liked that because it shows that this young man has reached a level where he has felt it, in his pocket. Right now in Kenya, when I have some discussion with my fellow young men, we even now, young men are fearing even to marry, Dr. Tata. It's not like it's the old time where you would want to have a damsel and bring her in the house. Right now, you bring a damsel, you feed her on what? Will she eat good news and hope? I mean, that is why in our in our discussions as young men, when we retreat, we feel the pinch, and we all agree from all tribes right now. But this is the moment when we are no longer going to be balkanized into our tribal blocks, because even those that are felt that were in the favored political divide, that your tribal extraction is no longer saving you from the price of bread or tax. You have to pay duly, and they are not late in collecting it. By the way, in our country right now, they collected even a lot of tax right now, 3 times than their projected, projected estimations. But you see, you cannot glory in taxing your people, overburdening. It's like now the hard tax, the Muzungu, the white man was taking, that you have to pay tax to live in your own house. You see, now it's almost the same thing, that we have to be taxed to eat. Like, before you eat, give me my share. I mean, the Chinese are like, before you buy that bread, oh boy, give me some 5 shillings, give me some 10 shillings. I mean, right now, young men are even, it's no longer an economic issue. It's an issue that is going to destabilize us even socially. People are not marrying. And if you're marrying, you have to tell your woman, don't get a baby. I'm not ready. And then she asks you, when are you going to be ready? You even don't know, because there are no jobs. And that is why, we have agreed as young men. We have said enough is enough. I mean, this far and no further. We have reached breaking point. Even when you hold a spring, when you may try, you may be, so tough on people. We have had people who have been tough on people, but I can tell you, the socio demographics of Africa right now can only be stretched to some length. It reached a point in physics, they would say, the point of no return. The spring will no longer go back to its normal state. And when we reach that time, it is something that will sweep even the oligarchy and the first and second estate, those that feel that they would determine a lot on the masses. And what they refuse, they don't understand is, we live in the most favored generation. This is where information is power. It's no longer those days where treaties would be signed in Versailles and in Florence and in Berlin, and then they are going to be implemented in Africa when we don't know what they decided. Today, you meet in a conference in New York, Mama, the director of IMF, Mama Castalina Georgieva, we see you. Whenever you're having that debate, we are there with our comments. We are following. So it's no longer the previous era where leaders would meet and, generals would plan, some political coup or, taking the African man into slavery. It's no longer that way. Yes, you are colonizing us in other forms, but we are woke. We are a woke generation. You go live on YouTube, we are there with you. And this is my message to the managing director of IMF, Mama Castalina Georgieva. The young people of my country, Kenya, and Africa are tired of loans. If you're not going to hold our leaders accountable for the money you give them, how do you want us to pay for money that went into a private developer to make his own houses in Switzerland and in Romania, to buy helicopters that chauffeur him around? How do you want me to pay that when I lacked fees for my university? When my university fee was very high, my high school, I would not be able to do it well because the money that was supposed to go there, you have eaten it. When you have eaten my vaccine, how do you want me to come and pay that? You have given us money to buy masks. I can tell you, Mama Castalina Georgieva, I want to talk to you. You gave us money for masks. We did not receive the masks. You gave us money for sanitizers. We did not receive the sanitizers. And it's on public record. Our doctors have been agitated. Our nurses were crying, we want personal protective equipment. Now you don't hold these leaders responsible, and then you add them another loan. My goodness. Are you in cahoots with them? And if you are, we are watching, because they are gonna last. They are not gonna last forever. You know, one thing I can tell you, Dr. Tata, is, you know, the way God made the universe is very amazing. You may be the most powerful of men, the most beautiful of damsels, the most energetic young man, but I can tell you there's a clock to everything.
That's right.
Whether through natural attrition, these men have gone. Whether through other means, these men have gone. And in the horizons of newness have come men with energy, with vigor, with new ideas. And they will hold you accountable. A time is coming, Dr. Tata, when these leaders or their progeny are going to pay our loans. Not we paying through our taxes. They will pay from their wealth that is unanswerable, that you cannot be able to, you know, establish where you got your wealth. And that is why they have diluted our institutions that hold people accountable. This dilution can only go far, but it will reach a point where the jar that is holding our liquid of accountability will be full. And when it will overflow, justice will be called on by even the most innocent of children. You know, we have seen children in our continent, even in our country, agitating, crying that people have grabbed their land. People have grabbed what was supposed to go to the education docket. People have even eaten ARVs, money meant for ARVs. People are dying of HIV. Yet it is our leaders that are there. And that is why, if you're a young person listening to me, and this thing is not only, you know, generic to Kenya only, it is our continental issue.
Correct.
Whether you're from Casablanca up there, or to Durban, to from Nairobi to Brazzaville, this is an issue which, if you look at it, even in Cameroon, wherever you are, you will find that your local leader, your provincial commission, your county commission, your governor, your cabinet leaders and ministers have a way in which they circumvent institutions, they circumvent justice against the common man. And that is why we have to have this renaissance, this reawakening. We have to cry out every day. Use social media. Social media is our new street. You know, these leaders are trying to build some, you know, conspirators who say, oh, this generation is about shouting out on social media and they can't go on the street. You see, it's no longer necessarily to go to the street. Dr. Tata, me and you right now, we are speaking. You are in Germany, I'm in Nairobi. And we are passing out a message. This is what lacked in those times until men went to the street. Because that is when the leaders would feel you. Today, as we are speaking, they are listening. They have tuned in. I can tell you. They themselves, or those that they are in league with, that help them. And this message is going to them. Unless they sit with us, we tell them we are not seeing the importance of this loan until you tell us the metrics that is going to be used, until I, on the ground, the lower part of our country, I'm going to benefit. Now, when that type of accountability is lacking, when the entire process is opaque, and if they try to remove the opaqueness, it becomes translucent. You can't even see what the beginning and the end point. Now, it only happens that this IMF loan, we knew about it. But how many loans have we taken that we don't know about?
Exactly. That would have been my next question.
Yeah. Do you know that you have a loan you took as a country to buy weapons to fight, you know, during our wars in AMISOM, in Somalia? Do we know that there are loans we have taken that are not open, that the contracts are not shared? Do we know, as a generation, do we know that the collateral to these loans is actually us? Because if you take away my airport, if you take away my port in Mombasa, if you're giving out some of our land as assurance for our loan, where is our sovereignty? Are we going back to the colonization? I mean, are you taking us back when things were made by Otto von Bismarck in Brussels, in Berlin? Sorry. Are we going back to the era of Karl Peters when he would decide what happens in whatever province, or not court in my local county? This cannot happen. I mean, we cannot be dictated by Shanghai or Beijing, neither from New York or Washington, neither from Paris or London. But things have to happen here. Decisions have to be happening here in Nairobi, there in Kampala, in Yaoundé, in Yamoussoukro, wherever you are, in your country, Maputo, and many other places, Addis Ababa, Djibouti, all people, wherever you are, my African people, Senegal, guys, Dakar, that is where the decision should be. And it should be to the benefit of that young person and person of Abidjan in Cote d'Ivoire. It must benefit you there in Accra, Ghana. Because if it doesn't, then what if the quotient of that loan is not going to benefit the local person, then why are you taking it on my behalf? Why are you saying that we, because it says we, the Kenyan people, have taken this loan as a people, and therefore the terms the loanee is going to give to the government at that time is what will be borne by the entire republic. And therefore, whether you sit and say, it really doesn't concern me, it really doesn't affect me, I didn't see the loan, whether they eat or not, I don't care. I can tell you, you care. The price of food has gone up. It wasn't just take a random guess 5 years ago. Were you buying flour at the price you're buying? Were biscuits the same price? Or if at all they're the same price, is the quality the same? I mean, there are things we must ask ourselves as African people, as you know, as a continent, that for how long are we going to rely on foreign aid? This foreign aid, it has shown the last 40 years, it is dead aid. Mama Dambisa Moyo has written about dead aid. She has said a lot that no matter how you look at it, this aid goes into corrupt bureaus. And these are the bureaus that even the person giving the loan knows very well. If IMF was genuine, why don't you use Interpol to arrest those that steal that money then? If you are genuine, yeah. If you are genuine, then you cannot be able to say that, you know, we are giving you loans, then see what you can do about it. The loan, but we'll ask the Kenyan person to buy. We are not going to go on with that mentality. This generation is woke. This generation will say it as it is. Africa has to rise. Africa is rising. They are trying to pull us down, but we are rising. We are rising and rising. We're not going to stop soon. Oh, Dr. Tata, we are not going to stop soon. I can tell you that. We will not stop telling those. Now, what I'm calling on my young people of this continent is that do not even fear to challenge for power. Because we are saying now that this, the politics of our nations is shaped such that the rich man has a lot to say. The rich man is usually easily the leader. But when he makes policy, he does not consider those are the lower part of the pyramid. We must now say that if they are not going to allow, if we are not going to get into the part, then let's divide the pyramid. Those that live on the upper side of the pyramid, lead yourselves. And we the serfs in serfdom, we the servants in servanthood, we will have our leader. And this is what we want him to do. And we have the numbers. You know, the beauty is the poor man has the numbers. But we have been controlled. We have been controlled such that during elections, they would come and say, oh, behold, Omwoyo Maranga, I give you $10. And then you realize in your house, you have never had flour the last 2 weeks. This is the time you can have some pseudo good meal. Not really good, but at least good. And then during election, you are bombarded with this rhetoric, oh, we will help you. These are the goodies we will bring. And then the people vote. And once they vote, the cabal celebrates in penthouses. They take leave to beaches and say, we got them. We knew it. And so they get us by the hook, line, and sinker. I mean, we can't go away from it. They have it. If we try to do something, they suffocate us. They just raise the line over the water. And if as a fish would perish, then you start, because you notice you're going to perish, they return you into water and warn you and say, hey boy, we have you by the hook and by the line and the sinker. So no matter how we try to change, you are just pulled out of the water and told, do you want to live or die? But what I can tell them is, down there in the water right now, we are breeding. And out very soon, there will come a fish that when you bring it out, it will choose the decision of death. Kill me. But down there are bred better fishes that will not be held by this small hook. There are times when you cannot be able, to fish a shark with a line. Even the Bible says, can you fish Leviathan with an hook? Solomon, Job asks that. And so what I can tell them is that there is a Leviathan among the youth, and it's not impressed. It's not impressed. And the Leviathan soon will come and hit that boat. Whether your boat is a Titanic, we will rock it. And it will cut into pieces. Until, you see, it's not an issue of we are at war with anybody. We are not at war with anyone. If we sit down as a country, as a continent, we agree that we are producing this type of mineral, we are going to purify it, we are going to sell it at this price, and if the buyer is from London, we will charge him this amount of sterling pounds. If the buyer is from Dubai, this is the dinars that he will pay. If the buyer is from the United States, this is the dollar that he will pay. And we agree from this amount that this is what will come back to us as a people. We will not need any loans. Former Sankara, around 40 years ago, did a marvelous thing. For 4 years, he did a lot without aid. He vaccinated over 5,000 children within 6 months. Right now, we can't even vaccinate 100,000 people in 3 months. It's because there's no will. The leadership has no will. We have the capacity. We have trained more people in 2021 than 1984 when Sankara was there. If you are listening from Burkinabe, listen to me. If you are listening from Burkina Faso, Papa Thomas Sankara did 40 years ago something we are failing 40 years now with better technology, with better infrastructure. my fellow young man, are we a lazy generation? What is it that is clouding our minds? What is it that is making us, not to decipher that our future is at jeopardy? And so, if that will is with us, I like the idea by Dr. Professor Pierre Lord. If I agree to the doctor and Magufuli Pombe, may God keep his soul. Papa Magufuli, you are the epitome of Africa. We may have not told you, but you were actually the one that was, inspiring our generation. Even here in Nairobi, I remember with my friends, we would usually retreat on Fridays to go and listen to speeches of Magufuli. Just like my father in the early 90s, he told me that they would listen to Mwalimu Julius Nyerere in his various debates, and because they would speak to the heart and not necessarily to our intellect. We need leaders that will inspire us to the heart. That you can tell me, Maranga and your young people, you can mobilize Vijana Economic Front. We want to build a state-of-art research laboratory for vaccines. Are your boys ready? Yes. We do that because of patriotism and nationalism. There is no nationalism nowadays. there is no patriotism. You walk in the streets of Nairobi, people are tired, and you ask somebody, are you a Kenyan? They really don't want this country. But you ask them, where are you gonna go? They don't know where to go. We must bring what was there in the 1950s, 1960s, men who are ready to labor for our country. Right now, in most places, schools were built in 1970s. Those are the ones that are being used because communities would come together under the banner. In our country, we used to say Harambe, under the spirit of Nyayo, a spirit of nationhood. And then we would say we are building gabions. The community would say we are building schools. We are building hospitals. Our leaders have killed that architecture that was transferred to us by our forefathers down the line, even during our migration as a people. These things were in us, and they are still in us. But they have allowed that fabric to be destroyed. The infrastructure sustaining that is no longer there. We have allowed to be westernized in most aspects, yet we have refused to be westernized then in other issues of economics. You've only been westernized in a few issues. You see, we should not only be moving out in fashions of these London-based ties, but we need a conscience that will ensure that we prosper. It's not about emulating Western movies at the expense of the African family. It is not about emulating Western practice at the expense of that fabric which they know if we make it strong, then we the people will be strong. Papa Shaka Zulu opposed the white man without a lot of, not with many soldiers, not with many. The determination is what mattered. And therefore, if you're listening to me from diaspora, wherever you are, or from our continent, Africa, if you're in Kigali, if you're in Kinshasa, if you're listening from, Nairobi here, Kampala, young people, let us put ourselves, where is Ubuntu? Ubuntu used to be our thing as young people. Even when Papa Nelson Mandela was in prison, it was the young people that brought liberty, apartheid down. Where is Umkhonto Wesizwe of our African continent? And this is what I'm challenging my African people. Me, I've taken over as the Kenyan leader of youth. And I want to talk to my fellow leaders, wherever, if you're listening to me and you want to lead your country, Let us build the African Umkhonto weSizwe, the arm that will help our continent stand strong against imperialism. Because this is actually imperialism. It can only be, they can condone it in beautiful language, they can actually, put the fragrance they want. But I can tell you, this is imperialism in other ways. We must reclaim our lands. Today, Dr. Tata, it's not easy for you to own a land in Rotterdam. It's not easy. But a Rotterdamese would come here and own ranches and acres of land that if we had produced food from there, a tomato would not cost 10 shillings, but it would cost 5 or less. We have food scarcity, yet we have the most arable land in the world. We cry of food, yet we have the best land. I mean, the volcanic soil in Africa is amazing. Whether you're talking about the Kariba belt of Zambia, Zimbabwe, whether you're talking about the Nile belt, whether you're talking about the Niger belt. I mean, we have, or the Volta belt, we have food enough to feed Africa.
And the world.
And the world. And actually, if we even invested enough in food only, we would feed these people and we would be so rich that only the time we'd be spending is not in building skyscrapers, but in producing the best tomato that would weigh even more than half a kg. But we have been made in a way such that now we no longer think in those, in those dimensions. And that is why when Dr. PLO talks about magnification of Africa, it has also to touch on our education system. If Dr. Tata, we are not going to teach the black man his origins, his essence of life, his essence of family, his essence of nationhood and patriotism, then we are going to lose him. And once we lose him, he will be eliminated. Because I can tell you, in no part of nature does a weak being exist. Over time, you are eliminated. And then soon this cradle of mankind would be inhabited by a people that are not the origins, the originals.
By aliens.
It can happen so easily. I mean, you don't need some pseudoscience to understand this. You don't need any type of, just look around. The influx of Chinese in our country. You see, when you have loans, we owe them a lot of loans. And so we are tied. We cannot talk about, you can't tell a Chinese who is pulling a wheelbarrow in Africa. I mean, how many people can pull a wheelbarrow? So we pay you to pull a wheelbarrow? Can't we do that? But the problem is, I can ask this, but I don't make the decision of my, the country. That is why I'm asking my fellow young people, we must be woke. The established systems of our countries, our various democracies, when it matters, when we have to choose leaders, you have to use whatever you have to ensure that you educate the next person, educate the next person, educate the next person, and lo and behold, in the fullness of time, everybody's woke. We no longer vote on your wallet, but on the principle and ideology that you have, and on the spirit of Ubuntu and Pan-Africanism.
That's perfect. I mean, it could not be summarized or said in this kind of terms. I mean, it was so, how do I say, intriguing to just listen to what we are thinking, and that is transformed in the mindset of the African. And now I'm so proud, like you're saying, I'm really humbled that, this word of we need to get back our minds. We need to learn who we are, the knowledge of self, and know our history. Like Professor James Small said, know your history. It's going to erase the mystery. So I want to thank you so much for actually representing the voice of the youth. We can't really thank you, your generation, so much for this engagement. Yeah. But one thing that we also have to look at, or your generation should be looking about, is the defense Doesn't matter what kind of defense. You talked about, the issue of the fish and the hook. Even though we're going to be producing a lot of eggs and leave, it's not going to always be like we show our head, they cut it out, and we go back because we have them. Like, which is, so I think your generation should also be thinking about the defense. They would not challenge China because you missile, they're going to missile back. So, but what is Africa doing to defend its territory and its resources? That would be a conversation for another day with another guest speaker. But we want to hear what the young people of Africa have been talking. Particularly, we are on the topic of loans. Stop loaning Kenya. Kenyans can produce this loan by themselves. And Kenyans are saying it's not even just only the IMF, it's just one little portion. Now, what about the European loans? What are even about the private or the country loans that we are not even aware of? Yeah, but one thing that is simple or that we can understand or learn is not even that. But it's a matter of being against a loan. Who doesn't trade or relate without loans? But the issue is, I mean, when you keep loaning and loaning and loaning, and particularly if we, like the case of Cuba, what we heard yesterday, I mean, if every African, every Kenyan would have free education, free health care, so there wouldn't even be any need to even question, what we're doing with these loans and stuff like that. But when you take a loan that is imposed, as we can, as orders are saying that it's been imposed, and you're obliged not just to take the loan, but you take even their resources, you take their technology, you take their produce that they actually transform from this loan. I mean, it's a matter of, like, if you look at the whole cycle, one can think that they don't even give you a loan. They just give something, take something, fabricate it, and give it to you. So you pay for what you didn't even, in some cases, I mean, in most cases. But anyway, like we say, these are all conversations that we have to hear what the young African is thinking about. How does he see himself in the future that they want to live in? How are they going to be able to negotiate? You talked about contracts, and I think that's also one pertinent thing that you, the young people, should be thinking about. Like, it's not really just about also just taking the loan of 3 billion or whatever, but what is it that is the condition to give these loans? What is in that contract? I mean, isn't it possible that, somehow we should know we're loaning now at this? Somehow Kenyans just, or Africans just have to research and find out and get to the point where they get it. So I want to tell my listeners we're going to be opening the lines in just 5 minutes. Let us watch this other video of vocal Kenyans that have launched, bloggers that are online every day trying to explain the reason why the Stop Loaning Kenya protest is going on and what you should know about it. Let us take a look at this blogger.
So you guys have been asking about canceling the petition of the IMF for Kenyan taking loans. So let's call them. I'm gonna Google IMF right now and then get their number, and that's the IMF, and let's give them a call and let's see what they say.
Good morning, IMF Security Operations Center. May I help you?
Hey, I'm calling about country called Kenya.
Well, how may I help you?
It looks like that country decided to take a loan recently. Our president decided to take a loan, and I was just calling to cancel on behalf of the Kenyan community.
Sir, are you the head of Kenya? Are you the president?
Of Kenya? No.
Or the prime minister?
I'm the citizen of Kenya.
You have to speak with your government, sir.
So you guys can cancel those loans?
No, sir, because you are not of authority to do so.
They don't listen to us, actually. So I thought I can get help from you guys.
I'm sorry. It's nothing I can do for you. Have a good day.
Oh, thank you.
Bye-bye.
I tried.
How courageous, like, yeah, call, ask it and hear from the horse's mouth. You are not in an authorization because you all gave your vote to the mandate to the people that have to negotiate all these loans on your behalf. So you were just talking about the issue of voting. Now, who are those that are representing and sitting and making these decisions? So if you already cast a vote of confidence for your leadership, and so your leadership has the possibility to negotiate and to make decisions that are beneficiary to the economy. And so why do you doubt that the president is not in this capacity when you all rally and voted and gave him that mandate to negotiate on our behalf? I think that's the message that is very clear from that caller. And to say, you, the president, like you, yes, of course, you're part of it, you're a citizen, but you already have given that mandatory right, of negotiation to a leader, and then we sit down and negotiate this. So I'll be taking calls, and the lines are open. If you want to call, share your opinion, like our brother Simeon Maranga from Vigana Economic Front movement, empowering young Africans to take up the right and to raise up their voices in terms of economic development and policy making and debate nationally, to also do a research into looking at all these policies to be able to come up with solutions that are actually fundamentally correct, to sit at the table and say, now, I mean, yes, we did give you those rights, but at this point in time, where are we just being informed and educated about the process? I think that will be the next steps that the young people should be thinking about. Research into this contracts, do a policy debate on it, propose policies that are proactive to this situation. And like, it's not just, now you see how limited your rights are when you already empower these governments and the leaders to take those decisions on our behalf. So I'm picking up this first call. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, can I contribute in this conversation?
Go ahead. Yes, you can.
Thank you very much. It happens to be, I'm an African. I am an African from Biafra, which is considered the southeast Nigeria. And it marvels me the way Africans go and take loan from people that have no interest of our continent in their heart. It is called going to invite invaders, going to invite colonial imperialism invaders to come and take over your continent. That is what I call it. Because if you cannot produce what you can eat, you are not independent. What you have is flag independent. You do not have a say over your land. It's impossible to go take a loan from a dragon. A dragon does not negotiate. A dragon comes to take over. And that is China. In Nigeria now, Nigeria has given, and they have taken loan from China, and they have signed off the oil and the natural gas LNG from my own region. That if they don't pay this loan, China should come in. We continue to elect Africans who are not pan-Africans, who are not nationalists. We continue to elect those who went to study in Harvard and Oxford and Co. to build our in our land to defend the people. They take them out like the Tanzanian president. We, this young generation, supposed to start asking ourselves one question. Why should we deport one another in African continent? Which, for example, I want to go to Kenya to open a farm, to own fish industry, and to sell to Kenyans first in abundance. I want to come to Kenya to change the slum system, remove every slum, and replace it with loan apps that will last for 50 years and give people straight house and simple structure that would be easy to bring in water systems, electrical systems, because rebuilding a house zigzag and on top of each other stops us from being able to connect water. Ordinary sewer system. With our sheep and cow shit, we supply our manure. We don't have any business taking any loan from any foreigner. And any government who is going to take a loan that they are 60 years old and they want to take a $5 billion and $5 trillion that they will not be here to pay. We don't want no foreign structure. Before foreign infrastructure, we have things. If you go to Ethiopia, how did they carve out those churches from stone? We have the technology. We have to look inside of us. Chinese are in our continent, invading and harassing and molesting and harvesting our organs and swearing before us. Now they're telling us we can't come to their continent, to China, until we take a Chinese vaccine. Africans cannot even produce their own vaccination. It's unbelievable. And when you come to the West, we are saying we need our human rights, whereas we get treated so bad in African continent because you carry Nigerian passport, until we break the borders and say, if you can develop, come and give me your blueprint of development. Let me give you loan and monitor you. Africans have stolen all our money and they are banking it in Europe, they are banking it in America, they are banking it in everywhere they can bank it, and we keep quiet. Why will the president of the country receive £20,000 a month when the Prime Minister of England cannot receive £26,000 a month? Why would a president in Africa do nothing and he knows nothing? The minister in Nigeria receives 13 million naira a month. 13 million. What does it mean? The senator in Nigeria receives 13 million. 13 million naira a month. What kind of job are you doing to receive such money? I live in UK. If you are the bank manager, it's on 2,000 pounds. We have to say to a government of the people must be in the people, with the people, from the people, to the back to the people. There is nothing wrong saying that every teacher must have a house. You see, when you provide a three basic structure for human beings, their life for corruption will let down, which is called number one, housing. You can't live in and think right. Number two, free education for your children up to secondary school level. Number three, if you want to be independent, your language of education must be your native language. The lingua franca come together by a nation and form. Because we talk too much with this English borrowed language. We have given ourselves so much out that we produce cocoa in Africa, but we don't have factories that manufacture chocolate. We produce diamond, but we cannot cut them and shine and clean them in Africa. We produce gold. Now Ghana, there's so much Chinese all over the place in our forest and bush using what do you call it? The chemical that will make that land infertile forever. Mercury into our water. I was watching Kenya and South Sudan this morning. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what happened to us? Look at how green these places are. Look at how wonderful our seas are. But we don't even have a bold manufacturing company. Everything we want, we're looking for foreigners. Why can't we say, sell us our technology? Let me give you this instance. Goodluck Jonathan of Nigeria, President Goodluck Jonathan went to England and said to them, sell us your technology for a railway program. England said, and the European Union said to them, no, we will rent it out for you and we will send you our experts to come and build it and maintain it. He said, and Goodluck Jonathan said, just sell your technology to me because I'm producing graduates every day. If any African tell me I'm a professor of this, I'll speak on them. I'm like, shut up. How can you be a professor of electricity? You cannot even give your own self electricity, not to talk of your own family. I tell you what, every time the only thing I ship into Africa is machine, tractors to build farm, to do farming. If you tell an African to go learn how to be a carpenter, he will say, yeah, no, I want to go to university. And after coming out of university, you are not employable because all you have learned is to read and cram and regurgitate nonsense that you have read. White man textbook, white man university, white man educational system. No, where is that Ubuntu African educational system that we know that we should define who we are? Nobody should define who we are. If we don't define who we are, it's impossible for us to move ahead.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for your comments. And it's very pertinent. What you're saying is just on point. So, but we're here on the Pan-African Daily TV to share these voices and to educate ourselves, create awareness and sensitize us on what the young people should do, and also monitor them and find out from them. Thank you so very much for being here. Yeah. So, good. We all know what it takes. Like I saw my sister, Dr. Mumbi, made a video about now in Africa, we know what we want. What is stopping us from getting what we want? That would be the next question and the next topic for. We already know. We know where our challenges are. We know everything that we need to do. We even know that we don't need to do.
I wanted to say something there. I really like that caller. I mean, I wish I should handshake him. Not even a handshake, but even a hugging. I mean, this is what we want to hear, Tata.
Yes.
He has talked very elaborately about Kenya. I mean, why is it that we are getting loans, yet we have the most resourceless guys are giving us loans, yet we have the most resources? Who should be giving them at least, even some resources for free and even some few loans? They are coming back to give us loans. I mean, who bewitched us? But I love that people are awakening even from the lower bells of Niger in Nigeria. Thank you. That was a great call.
Okay, I'm taking the next call. Hello? Oh, I think the caller has some problems with reconnecting. Hello? Yes?
Hello?
Yes.
Hi, Dr. Tata. Yusuf Kedon is from Sierra Leone.
Thank you for calling.
Okay. I'm really excited listening to the program, following it up. It's amazing. It renews my hope. It's in Africa especially, that our generation will change our great continent. I'm happy, and I do applaud all of you, and I'm encouraging you to keep it up. Like, let me draw an instance to Sierra Leone in my country where I'm living. You see, it's better this platform are published like this. We the youth that should energize this new generation and change the narratives and all the things around it. We are the one that's helping to destroy it to the bigger politician, as my brother was speaking. You will see those criminals, we are the youth, we are the ones celebrating them. When they steal, they disguise themselves in tribal sentiments, in parties. So we, the youth, part of these political parties, will be there. Look at Thomas Sankara. Those people are great heroes of Africa. We can live without foreign aid because you cannot bite the hand that feeds you. If we are always dependent to the foreign powers, to the foreign aids, doctor, no matter what we do, we can never succeed. No matter, because every African country except Tanzania depends on foreign.
Okay, I think he's having some connection problems, but we already heard what he was saying, that the speaker is actually getting some motivations from you, Simon, on the topic, and they feel actually appreciated. Do you really think, or you see the interaction from other youths from other countries saying they are motivated and inspired by your works? And I want to call on those that are calling using the direct line. I have some calls coming even right from Bangladesh, but you're using the direct line in South Africa. There's some coming from Malaysia. Please use the WhatsApp line. Use the WhatsApp. It's the same number, but call on WhatsApp. Okay. So thank you very much. Hello. I hope I get him this time. Hello.
Yeah, I was talking.
Yes, your connection is very bad. So just round up and go straight to the point, because your connection is the one that throws you out.
Okay. we applied for IMF loan. It will surprise you, IMF dictated to the government of Sierra Leone that cut off all subsidies on rice. So they don't even want to know what your economic status of your citizen, how they are feeling. No, they impose their policies on you. So you have to accept it. If not, they are not giving you their money. And these policies is for us to be divided. It's for us to remain in poverty. It's for our minds to remain in slavery. This more than slavery.
Okay. Thank you so very much. Thank you for your contribution. I mean, it's not just a matter of giving the loans. Africans are saying they even impose the policies on these loans on you. Hello?
Hello.
Yes.
Good evening, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Thanks for calling.
Yes. Yes, I'm Alan, and from Uganda.
Mm-hmm.
My point here, I've been following,
Okay.
and for me, what I want to contribute is one. First of all, we have failed to understand and define our own democracy.
Mm-hmm.
We think democracy is just a matter of changing leaders, and we have failed to sit down and we analyze what exactly is disturbing African countries. We think that changing leaders is what is meant by and development. These West people have, put that on us. But if we continue just changing leaders, we shall change one bunch of thieves and we put on another bunch of thieves. We shall not solve the problem.
Okay.
Now my issue is, we the young people, we have wasted time, a lot of time, just fighting each other, and we forgot to, watch the running of our own country and how these people, the one we call leaders, are running our country. Just we want to fight, when someone talks and then they call you in the government, maybe they tell you, we have given you this position, then you find a youth who has been leading, keeps quiet because he has served, will get food also. Now, we should make sure that when the money, fighting, because if we say we are not going to allow the loan, we should also understand that we cannot collect the tax that will, cater for everything as Africans. But these people should be accounted. They should account for each and everything. And we have to solve this in our own countries. We should make them sit down with us. We talk to them. Before they borrow, they should give the accountability. Why are they borrowing? Where is this money going? What is it going to do? And then, after borrowing that money, we should monitor, we should be included on the committee to monitor in every country, to monitor done exactly what it's supposed to do.
Okay.
Otherwise, if we don't do that, we shall still have the same problems. We shall always just quarrel, we just shout just to do what, but we should define what we need to know by democracy as African countries. And maybe what I can end with is unity. What is disturbing us right now is we have failed to unite. These Western countries, what they do, they will go to Kenya, they tell them Uganda has a problem with you. They go to Uganda, they tell them Kenya has a problem with you. We fail to unite. But it is our role as the youth to make a good network from Egypt to South Africa, from Congo Brazzaville to Kenya. We make a good network to pressurize our own leaders so that we can unite and have the same voice as African continent. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much. I mean, that was very decisive of the way forward, unity amongst the youth. I mean, Simon, you already talked about that. If you're listening to me, if you're watching me from this, now, your organization, what are the infrastructures? Do you network with other young movements on the continent, or how is it supposed to function? I know from my organization, the Africa We Want, that we just created since 2019, we actually had to refurbish the constitution, and now we have our tax exemption international number, which we are ready to operate. And we want to really open up this organization for youth movements on the continent and in the diaspora, be it policy movement or women or, scientists, researchers, all sort of Pan-African youth movement focus on women and the development of Africa, the girl child, whatever. It has a structure, exactly because we identify the problem that it is easy for you alone and your organization to speak from Kenya, but it's going to happen in the other 53 countries. How are we going to solve that? So what is the way forward? Do you look at networking and coming together, as young people to speak with one voice?
Absolutely. We as Vijana Economic Front from Kenya here do not desire by any chance to invent the wheel. If Pan-African digital TV, which you are leading, Mama Dr. Before Tata, is doing what we intend to do in the long run, then why don't we be part of that tributary to this big river? So what we are saying is Vijana Economic Front supports actually what you're doing. And from Kenya, we are joining in. We do not want to create another stream. In the long run, we'll have small streams which will not have that the power that would exert an influence that we so desire within our continent, but also to our fellow Africans in the diaspora. So that we have, there's a lot of money from African diaspora that is being invested in those places where they're not even respected. Bring that money in Africa. Bring it here. If I would have met my friend, the last caller who said from the lower sides of Nigeria, or my brother from Sierra Leone, or my brother from Kampala, and we have our diaspora, perchance you are in Europe, why don't you come and we set up a serious hospital here in Africa, in Nairobi? Why is it that we cannot go and set up that good mining down here in Moshi, Tanzania? Why is it that in Uganda we cannot have a small factory by my brother there was spoken that will process bananas and that we can export the product out there, which will bring us more more revenue as a nation. So we as Vijana Economic Front are actually pushing for a continental approach to our problems. You see, the white man again has brought us issues here in Kenya. Right now we have issues with our sister country Somalia, that now very soon Kenya will be semi-landlocked, that we are going to lose part of our ocean to Somalians, so that a globalist, a bureaucrat can come and set up an oil refinery in the Indian Ocean. I mean, we are not going to lose an inch of our territory. That is what we want to tell those bureaucrats that want to divide our country and continent. Somalia and Kenya and Uganda, Sierra Leone, we are one. We are Ubuntu. We are people who are one. So despite those fractions that they want to create amongst us, so that now they tell you that if you go this way with us, we'll give you a bigger share, but if it goes with those other guys, you're going to lose out. Africa, and that is why we need to have what my brother from Nigeria said, that we need to have even free travel within Africa. Why is it so easy for a European to move from Luxembourg to Germany, from Germany to Netherlands, but I have a big problem getting into Uganda, yet I'm going to bring them perhaps some goodies, and when I get out from Kampala, I'm going to get out a lot of lesos and shoes and many things from there that I'm going to sell in my market here. So you find in the long run that the fact that we have confined ourselves into the colonial boundary, we are not getting the maximum, the prospect of Africa. We are not pushing our resources to the limit where they can work for us. So you find that our territorial boundaries are something that, the Muzungu created, the white man, we call him Muzungu here, created. And so they want us to live in those confines, while for them they have a European Union passport that can serve them. They can easily move within that territory. That is what we want to move. And it's not bad to ask even the leaders that we have We should not wait for the future for us to do it. Our own leaders that are there, President Uhuru Kenyatta, you're the president of the East African community. Unify East Africa. And then as East Africa is united, we can approach SADC as a unit and tell them we are united here. We want to unite with you people of the South. And then from there, we approach the ECOWAS, the Western people. Then we will approach, then lo and behold, others will join because they will see that we are being left out from a caravan to glory. And so we have to be vigilant there. Yeah.
All right. I'm picking this call, I think, from the Zambia. Hello.
Hello, Dr. Susan. How are you?
Good. Thank you. Yeah. How are you too?
I'm fine, thank you. This is Honorable Oliver. I'm calling you from Zambia.
From Zambia. Honorable. Welcome.
Thank you so much. My father, you are speaking a lot of sense there. We are behind you, and we really appreciate for the movement that you have come up with. I've been following the program from the beginning, and I think we should appreciate that many Africans at home and in their diaspora, they are waking up now. Colonialism that our governments at the ransom through loans and through all manner of treachery by way of using collateral or natural resources and state assets. But apart from that, we should not only end this campaign on talking. I think the economic recovery of Africa will need actions, calculated actions. We have to unite, of course, but we cannot keep on speaking from outside the government system, because the government systems of Africa have been set up in a way that anyone who speaks from outside, they are silenced either by intimidation, by arrest, and by all manner of evil action against them. We have so many civil rights movements in Africa. We have so many organizations that are speaking against the ill and the bad governance of Africa. But there is little change that we are seeing. So what is the way forward from now? The way forward from now is that we have to find means and ways of getting inside the government system. That's where change is going to come from. We can do petitions, of course. We can score the IMF. We can put our ideas on the table. But as long as we are not inside the government system, we will sing these songs. Our children will come and sing these songs. Whilst Africa keep on worsening. Whilst the resources of Africa will keep on benefiting the foreign governments. The African governments, the politicians, they suffer from the same disease, greedy and the cancer of greed and corruption. Let's talk about these loans. Who are they benefiting? The loans that our government in Zambia are taking, they are the same loans, of course, on the same conditions with other countries in Africa. But let's look at the economic development. Let's look at the poverty levels of our African communities. Let's look at the health system of our African government. Let's look at the education system and the quality of education. Is there any improvement? There is nothing. Because the monies and the loans which are being collected, they are ending up in the pockets of the politicians who are building their own dynasty for them and for their families. So, comrades, I want to speak through this broadcast, wherever you are listening from, in Africa, that it's time to rise up. It's time to get into the political system. I've said this before. Not everyone can get into the political arena. Myself, I'm a politician, and I want to exhibit the change in my country through the political means, because that's where policies are signed, that's where documentation are signed, that's where debates start from, which influence every sector of governance, whether it's in the social setup, in the economic setup, anywhere. So my call to us, young people, is that let's rise up. Let's keep speaking, but let's put an action plan. How do we get into the governance system to go and kill this this cancer spreading across Africa in terms of corruption. Magufuli showed us the way. Magufuli in his tenure of almost 5 years, and his country turned a middle income state without going any loan. They curtailed the corruption, they curtailed the over expenditure in the governance system. They overhauled the civil service system where they have a lot of post workers. They reduced on public expenditure. The result was that they saved a lot of money, which helped to construct hospitals, which helped to construct bridges, which helped to create jobs for the people of Tanzania. So why can't other countries emulate on the work and direction of His Excellency Honorable Magufuli, may he rest in peace? So this is my call. Thank you so much for holding me this time. But my call is that let's arise as young people and find means and ways of entering into the governance system so that we can exist change from inside. Whatever starts from inside brings down a change than what is coming from outside. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable. I mean, that was very pertinent. We are rounding up the conversation in just 5 minutes and stuff like that. And I would like to throw this back to you. And what he said was very. Do you think that is enough to change from without or from within? Now, what should the young people be doing? I mean, like in Vijana, do you with your organization, are we anticipating to start lobbying to be, for young people to get into leadership positions and also to get into politics?
Yeah, definitely. It's more appropriate to fight from within. And the reason why we are doing it from without is, at the moment, we don't have many of us there in power. And therefore, the only thing we can do is to do the check of what the executive is doing, because most of our parliaments have honestly failed because we do not have pan-Africanists in most of these legislatures. And what we are pushing on as Vijana Economic Front, especially in the elections that are coming up next year. In our country, we have elections, and we are pushing candidates from the lower cadre of, a member of county assembly to the highest level of presidency. That we will actually tell you who the true champions of issues of youth, the issues of the future are. Pan-Africanists, people that have the nationalist agenda, and not people that are puppets and sellouts that would easily sell us out. And therefore, we have to form parties as movements. If you're in Kampala, get a youthful party. If it's that Bobby Wine party, be in it and contest election.
Okay.
If you are Sierra Leone, do the same, and the same with us also here. And perhaps Dr. Susan, who knows, maybe Omwoyo Maranga will contest for presidency of Kenya in this coming election. And there are a lot of patriots that are now not going to vote on tribal lines that maybe would see that as an option.
All right, let's take this one last call, I think, from the Gambia. Hello.
Gambia, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Thank you for calling.
Okay, welcome. My name is Lamin.
Greetings to you, Lamin.
Yeah, greet you too.
Yeah. What is your contribution? You're calling live on the Pan-African Daily. Hello. Oh, I think he's having some issues with connection. All right. Yes. Of course, like you said, even though the last questions are coming here from some other viewers, and somebody is like, I should share his contact with you. You agree? Anyone that requests your contact?
Yeah. Give them my contact. We must build a movement together globally.
Thank you. Thank you. One of your compatriots there in Kenya asked a question, or I think it was do you think it's a bad idea to take the loans? He doesn't think it's a bad idea, but the problem is the accountability. What will you say to that? Let's conclude.
Absolutely, I agree with him. I mean, even in your own house, there are things that you've borrowed, even from a neighbor, that you may use. Sometimes you don't have a gas and you want to cook for your guests, but you must be accountable. I don't give you a gas and lick it, and then when you bring it to me, there's nothing inside. you must use that resource in the most outright transparent way. If there's any opaqueness, any translucency with the people, have a reason to ask why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So thank you so much. I mean, we're at the end of this conversation, but we would like, to share with our with our viewers, your last word to them before we depart from you. Hello, Simone. What is your last word for your audience? It's frozen. Okay, I think we're not lucky. We're not lucky to have him here. Let us just watch this last video from a Kenyan artist, also about the Stop Loaning Kenya. I mean, you can imagine just in a week, artists have gone to the studio to create music on it. It's not just a petition on calling or tweeting, but it's also they're expressing all their frustration and raising their voices in every way and using every tool that they could use to send out the message out there to young Africans and Africans in general, and particularly also to the institutions concerned. Now, like we all know, it's not about the issue of getting loans, it's about the accountability. Now, from the past loans, what is it that you can show off when the infrastructure is still collapsing, when there is no access to potable water, when healthcare is still at the brim? Now, what can you show that from the past loans we've been able to develop this? Yes, there have been some major, big infrastructural change, but who does it actually benefit? Are we only in the middle class sector and the upper class? What about those that don't even have the access? Now, are people even viable to, if we take trains? Yeah, I mean, we need to buy tickets to travel. Are they up to it? So let us watch this last video as a take. But as we're concluding with this video, remember our topic tomorrow is going to be on Nigeria. I want to focus on actually the situation of this break-in. Nigerians are agitating. Why should our president get health care in the UK when we ourselves are not able to develop a healthcare system? What is the way forward? Not just the case of Nigeria, but we all know that even private individuals that have the means, now you can travel and get that healthcare. What about the common man that cannot? Is it possible that we bring the change home, we bring the technology home to benefit the masses, or we just say, yes, it's all about me? Of course, we know that the leaders need quality treatment, but what if we would have all these infrastructures, just one reference, so we will not need to bring our investment out here? So that's going to be a topic for tomorrow. And we're looking out for a guest, young people that are rising up to say, yes, this is not what we want. We want something better. We're not saying it's difficult. It's not, it's a problem of you not getting the health care, but what if all of us would benefit from that system? So let's watch the video of this Kenyan artist. And we want to wish you a happy time and a nice time. And we see ourselves tomorrow after the video. And Sunday, we're going to talk on the new leadership of Tanzania. In the coming weeks, we want to also focus on the trial of late George Floyd that is taking place in the US currently. I mean, the killer, as we all know, or the murder, had to stand charges against him, and this trial has been going on, I think, for almost 2 weeks. And we're trying to gather information and to get a guest to tell us actually how this trial is going on. I mean, it's very important for us to know, is this something that will have to repeat itself? Is it going on fairly? Are there some issues that, people didn't know that should be knowing now? So next week, we're really going to focus also on stories and happenings in the diaspora, in our communities in the diaspora, Europe, Caribbean, America, Haiti, Brazil. So we're looking out to power that session. This week, we've actually been on the continent touring. Yesterday we were in Uganda, Cuba, and today we are focusing on Kenya. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about Nigeria. On Sunday, we're going to focus on the new leadership of Tanzania. What are the changes? What is it that, Her Excellency is doing out there? I mean, I've been getting some very mixed news, but also positive, very, very positive ones that would not changing the paradigm, but doing it in a different way. So I look forward to having this conversation with you. Let us watch this clip right now. Thank you.
want. The Commander Records.
Okoth, Vicky.
Stop loaning Kenya, 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 stop loaning Kenya. IMF, leave us alone. We don't want your fool either. Kenyan leaders are very corrupt. They eat everything on their way. That money already is already eaten. 257 billion. Unye is popping the champagne. 2022 BBI campaign. We thought that the SGR trains would be speed trains, and they brought us Mkokoteni trains. Stop loaning Kenya. 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 IMF, by the way, let me tell you one thing. Here in Kenya, there is one person called Waiguru. Her saloonist is very rich, carries money in gunias. Yes, those people can give us loans. Very good. We don't need your loans. Yes. Corruption is a culture in Kenya. We have Golden Wax scandal. Musalia can give us a loan. Yes.